All right, we're back and we're live. We're pretty excited. We're here with What the
Shell
Podcast. We're pretty excited because for the first time in 3 weeks, we're actually back
I'm wearing
live.
a hoodie.
You're wearing a hoodie and not a muscle shirt.
And it has turtles on it, so come on, man. Celebrate.
The viewers might not have noticed it, but the last two podcasts were actually pre-recorded. So we're actually back live. We're sitting here at the same time that you guys are. And we have I'm excited because I think we might have somebody that can talk more about turtles than any of our other guests.
What?
Yeah, I think
even
so.
more than the Jordans? Like, come on, man.
Hey, man. This individual kind of inspired me to come up with the idea for a podcast. And he's actually been a lot of help. I was actually afraid in the beginning that he might see it as a sort of competition. But in fact, he's actually provided a lot of guidance, and I was really excited that he agreed to be on the podcast this week. And that's Anthony from the Turtle Room. So why don't we go ahead and add him to the stream? Anthony,
hello.
Welcome, man.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Hi. I was going to share this on Facebook. I couldn't figure out how to do it.
It's all right, man. I'm about to try to share it as we speak. Anthony, whoa.
You went real time, man.
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. I'm not sure what to do with my hands. What is this? I've never been on a podcast before. I'm so nervous.
You went up for the layup and it just got demolished.
It happens. Believe me, it happens. Let me tell you something. No one you ever have met has been dunked on more times than me.
Really?
And that's including if your neighbor is AC Green or something. Like you've never met someone who's been dunked on more than me in their life. I just want to tell you that.
that's
I feel like it helps.
That's pretty transparent of you.
Yeah, it's well, you have to play at a pretty high level, right? Because everyone around you has to be able to dunk, but then you also have to be relatively immobile. So I'm sorry to just take it in.
I'm the guy that can only jump and touch the net.
Yeah.
So I foul. I have a very good friend of mine who tried to dunk on me when we were in college, and I was that guy. I pushed him out of the air. I felt bad afterwards.
I hate you. I hate you with every fiber of my being. I hate you. The younger version of me hates you. But yeah, now I don't care. I don't jump. So whatever. No big deal. Sorry to go off on a basketball tangent.
No, man. I'm glad you're on the show. I'm glad you agreed. Why don't you tell us, the viewers, a little bit about yourself so we can get started? Yeah, and when I got all awkward at the beginning too, I apologize. Thank you so much for the kind words, and I'm proud that you guys are doing it. I'm excited. There's nothing I enjoy more than watching a good podcast, listening to a good podcast, and it's exciting. The more the merrier. And why are we doing this? Right, for education and to spread the message and to help make the world a better place for turtles and tortoises. Right, where the more educated people are, the more of a platform we give people, then the more we could work together. I know there's a lot of people that folks didn't really know much about until they came on our show. And like Jordan, the last Jordan you had on, not somebody I know really well, but being able to see them on your platform, see him on your platform, really important and something that I really appreciate. So I love that you're doing it, and really impressed with what you guys have been able to do in 9 going on 10 episodes. Pretty cool. Yeah, man.
So what's your avenue anyway? What was your realm that you were talking about, your podcast, for people don't know?
What's that?
Your podcast. Podcast and everything. For people that don't know, that they can find you at.
So sure. So I'm the vice president of the Turtle Room, which is a growing 501c3 nonprofit organization. Really proud of where that's come from and where we're going, and a lot of that is a testament to Steve Enders, my partner and the founder of the Turtle Room, which is awesome, and other folks who are involved in that, and have been involved in for years and doing amazing work both in the field and ex situ as well. And then part of that, what I do for the Turtle Room is oversee educational efforts and the development of educational resources. So that's everything from writing and things on the site to video production and the YouTube channel, which leaves a little something to be desired. But Kevin Minto has done a really nice job, and I know you guys know him because of your Diamondback work lately. A lot of my work leaves something to be desired. A lot of my old videos, you see some on there, but it's like people could still learn from it, so you leave them up. And then also the Pondcast is part of that, and that's something we've been doing for going on 8 years now, which is just crazy. But it's it's a good little show. It's fun, and I think it helps that. And one of the things I told Cody when we were first talking about you guys doing a show is, it helps us that we do every month. If we miss a show, then you've got 2 months between shows. It's not that bad. Every week, man, that's a big undertaking. And you guys will have as many episodes as we do, in a year and a half. So it's pretty cool, Hey,
I have to admit something. I catch myself every time I say the word podcast, inadvertently saying Pondcast. So
yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Good,
I like that.
Good
I'll
choice,
take
man.
it. But I do it too. Yeah. Interesting piece there, just to go off on another tangent. When we were thinking of naming it, I came up with Pondcast, I think. I don't remember. It was my best friend John and I were the hosts at first, and
drilling on it.
Yeah, it's good, and it's been around now for a while. 8 years is a long time. And at the time, the only other group that was using the term Pondcast was like the University of Minnesota hockey team. So I'm like, all right, this is good enough, because in past professional experiences, I learned that you can kind of bite off of other people or whatever, like kind of weasel your way in there. If it's something that's unrelated, like you can name your, I don't know, your stapler brand the same name that somebody's lawnmower is. Like it doesn't, but you can't. You know what I'm saying?
Very good.
Yeah. But now there's a lot of Pondcasts, and there's like Across the Pondcast and like a bunch of different things that use the play on words. So I like to think we were the first ones. So oh, that's cool. That's cool. I could see that comment come through. I like this platform.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
So how'd you get started, man? Like,
Thanks, man.
to be established, where you're at now. I mean, it has to go back, obviously childhood, but like, we get a bunch of different people from hobbyists to conservation work. I'm a little bit of both. But with the things I do between the book writing and little things like that, there has to be something, that sparked an avenue and transition to be able to go the impact route, because a lot of people are in that stuff and doing the stuff, but then there's a level up from that, which is the impact, really trying to create an impact. So how did that all
you think like I do, both professionally and with the turtle stuff, which I consider like kind of like quasi professional part of my life, because it doesn't pay the bills, luckily. Thank goodness. I'm not like one of the folks that needs to sell turtles to pay the bills, which I'm very grateful for. I used to be jealous of folks who could do that. Not anymore, but
that would be the dream, man, to be able to quit your job.
I know, but this is what I used to think, but it's not true, because as soon as something becomes something that you have to do to pay the bills, it becomes work. And even if you love your job and you're having a great couple first weeks, 10 years into that job, it's not going to feel the same anymore. And I think that, like, I love my job and it's my job, and I'm not as passionate about it as I am about turtles, obviously. So, I think, Ed, you think a lot like I do. And when I hear you talk about impact, that's how I measure everything, right? Risk versus reward. How much I'm going to have to put into this, most importantly, probably time, and resources and all of that, versus what it can do for me, what it could do for turtles, what it could do for the turtle room now. And I struggled a lot early, and I've said this before, but I really struggled with the idea that I went to school for the wrong thing. My undergraduate degree is in fine arts, and I never planned to go to college. I grew up on welfare. I like to joke that my family is a long line of degenerates, and I mean, I have a lot of really wonderful people in my family who mean a lot to me, but no one ever went to college, and lots of people in and out of jail and prison and all sorts of things, and no one ever said, one day when you go to college. No one ever said that to me until I was 6'9" and dunking on people. That did anyone say, like, like my junior year of high school, like, you should start thinking about where you want to go to college. I'm like, college? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm surprised I'm not at juvie right now, like where they said they would send me because I would keep making jokes in class.
Now, were you born and raised up the Northeast?
Yeah.
You said? Right?
Yeah. Okay. Central Connecticut. And then went to college in Rhode Island. Decided to major in the thing that I was best at, which is fine arts. And I wanted to be an art teacher because I wanted to help people and educate and all that. And then while in college, I'd always been into turtles my entire life, and kept them from age 5 all the way. And in college,
was it like a backwoods kind of thing, or was it like a pet store city kind of thing? Like
no, most of the stuff that I was keeping, I'm moving this because I don't want the Turtle Room logo to be a halo around my head. It's like super awkward. Most of the stuff I was keeping was stuff that I caught. So I would keep, I catch a snapping turtle that looked different, and 12-year-old me thought it was an alligator snapper because it had different markings than I usually saw, and I could make up all these things in my head. Catch a painted turtle that has a little Midland in it, and now it's a Western painted turtle and all that. And then in college now, like the internet was bigger. I ended up getting an actual alligator snapping turtle at a pet store when I was like 19, maybe 18 years old, and then started researching it using the internet, this new tool that was there, and then started realizing, wow, I'm not the only person who's into this stuff. There's other people who are doing it, and there's classified pages and information on how to keep them, and then found the Turtle Forum. And then from there it was over. So with the Turtle Forum, I really miss those days because Facebook is just this negative breeding ground for just horrible human relations. And
but dude, I'll tell you what, man, it's in a way it's encouraging because it lets you know that there's a need for that much more light and positivity. So it's an opportunity to stand out, which is exactly what you, me, Cody, and what you guys do over there. And so
it takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of biting your tongue and swallowing your pride. And when somebody says something is wrong, I can't tell you. For every post I make or every comment I make on Facebook, there's 5 that I don't make that I literally type in and then delete. And it's something I do for myself. I actually consciously do this where I'm like, you're full of it, blah, blah, blah. And get really mean and then just delete it and don't post it. One of these days I'm going to post it by accident and then have to edit it real quick. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet.
It's funny that you said that because our first podcast launched what was it? Maybe a week, Ed, after that Diamondback Terrapin group that was on Facebook that had 4,000 people.
Yeah,
literally.
Suddenly, went out, and there's been a couple conspiracy theories, but I honestly think it was somebody who just, if I go back and think about the comments, a lot of people were just attacking an individual that didn't know much, and instead of like you said, trying to take that educator route, and not everybody is built to be an educator, but Facebook was like, bye.
Yeah. I think it's something about social media. It's also something about animals, because I see it in the veterinary field as well. People, when animals are involved, people get really passionate, they get really fiery, and I don't blame them. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it, brother.
I'm assuming she's talking about send text and then backspace.
Yeah, exactly. That's really funny. I like this platform, how it does that. That's cool. But I forgot what I was saying. No, so social media, people just do that anyway. But animal people, man, they just and I get it. And I'm as passionate as anyone. And I had someone ask me the other day, why don't you get mad at people? I feel like people could just do you wrong and you're just gonna let them do that. And I'm like, yeah, like a Bronx Tale, Cologito's chasing after some dude who owes him $20, screaming at him, and Chaz Palminteri, Sonny's character, is like, do you like that guy? Like, no, but he owes me $20. Like, well, now you never have to see him again because he's going to avoid you because he owes you $20. So you paid $20 to not have to deal with some jerk. So it's all how you look at things, and the perspective is everything. But I think the most important thing that we all can do is to help the people who are coming up, who are starting somewhere just like we did, have questions, are doing it the wrong way, just like we did, And, that's not the way to get people on your side or prove how great you are, to put other people down. It's just not. To me, that just shows that you're lacking a certain sophistication in turtle terms that you have within you to help people.
Yeah. I have a question, and I'll be the person that's going to jump off this conversation. So I told you I had a bunch of questions that I've been thinking about. First one. What has been your motivation for deciding what species of turtles you keep? Because I've seen your pictures on Facebook. I've seen all your setups, and well, not all of them, but different setups you share. So, what was your motivation for what you keep?
Thanks. That's a good question. I think what I was touching on a little bit before, the risk versus reward. So, I live in Connecticut, man. It's not a great place for turtle people. My dream used to be to move to Florida and to have a sulcata farm. I would never do that now, but it was a dream of mine. I love sulcatas. This is great. I'll get a few. They'll be really expensive and hard to acquire, but I'll find a way to do it. How could I ever figure that out? So eventually learned that wasn't really the way to do it. And I had a conversation with a friend up here in Connecticut who's like, we have turtles that everyone in the world is jealous of. We can go out in the wild and see wood turtles, spotted turtles, stuff like that. And even, I had some friends come from Germany, some turtle experts, and I took them out to catch painted turtles, and they were having the time of their life. Really? They took, so awesome, not kidding, 1,000 photos of Eastern painted turtles. And it was great. Because there's cool stuff going on here just because the grass seems greener. So for that perspective, literally, I think that was important. Yeah,
because I can't keep my yard too crisp. I miss my Ohio like that grass back in late without fire ants. Sorry, I just had to say that.
I think that's all right. I think from a keeping perspective, though, it's that risk versus reward thing that we were touching on before. So I again live in Connecticut. I have a finite amount of money that can go into my electric bill. I have only so much space that I can use. So I need to really maximize what I can do. So in the space, when I was getting my CBW permit, the person who was helping me out with that, the federal permit to keep ESA, Endangered Species Act, listed species, the guy who was helping me with that said, do you want Galapagos tortoises? Do you want Podocnemis expansa listed on your permit? And the answer was a resounding no, immediately. Why would I ever want those on my permit? I'm like, oh, it could be cool. And there's been a couple of times since then where I'd be like, man, I probably should have put those on there, just in case. It wouldn't have cost $1 more, and then I would have just had it on there, and maybe could have played with the Galapagos tortoise. But then I have to just slap myself in the face and be like, dude, you live in Connecticut. That's ridiculous. And so everything I do stems from that. So I have to look at it. Okay, how much does the animal just excite me? How small is it as an adult? How important is it from a conservation standpoint? How important is it, more importantly, from an education standpoint? Because I really feel that I can do much more with education than I can with conservation. Yeah. Because, as many rare animals as I keep and work with, and the others around me that do the same, how many of those animals are going back to the range country, realistically? Yeah. So, I'm a realist. I didn't used to be. I really grew up like a hopeless optimist, kid who didn't have much and just felt like anything was possible, sort of thing. Now, being a turtle person has turned me not necessarily into a pessimist, but a realist, that, we have to actually look at what the reality is and then figure out the best way to navigate that.
So do you keep all your animals in a separate, detached from your home, or?
So I'd love to talk about my house. I'm very excited about my house still. We moved in last July. It's been, a few days over a year now that we've been here. Nice. And outside I have a pond. Thank you. It's very exciting. But, silver lining, COVID has been obviously horrible in so many ways and to so many people. But personally, as scary as it's been for my family and at work and the folks who I manage at work and that sort of thing, there's been a silver lining that, as a turtle person, I've been able to come home from work and spend the weekends working on stuff and getting stuff together for my animals, which has been really cool. So I've got a new pond. I've got 3 box turtle enclosures, and then have the half-acre fenced in for the leopard tortoises to roam. And then when they put in an extra bedroom in this house, and for whatever reason, the previous owner added a separate basement. So there's like a crawl space, small, it's actually large, but it's just short for me because I'm really tall. Basement in the house, and then they put on this addition, and when they did, they added a basement for no reason, and you can't get to it from the house. So no more, like at my last house, wifey would be down there doing laundry and it would smell like death because I just put out plates of Missouri for all the animals. Man, Missouri later in the day, man, even if you mix it with a million different things, it just smells so bad. So, she's not down there.
I know one food that smells worse.
What's that?
That freeze dried red shrimp.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Totally. You have to make sure you have to put in a new container with a better lid with like, some kind of gasket that keeps it airtight, because that stuff smells so bad.
My wife knows instantly. She can smell it across the house and is like, Cody. I'm like,
I'm so glad
sorry.
Everything is detached.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's full already. So I'm back already I've been in my house for a year, and I'm back at the point where if I want to add anything, then I need to think about moving something. So I'm pretty content right now and excited about what I have going on. More eggs than I've ever had this year, and things are still settling in. So I feel really good about it.
Hey, you have a question from the viewers. Do you mind if we ask that question real quick, Ed?
Please.
Yeah, go for it.
If that's all right with you guys.
All right, I'll put it up on the screen for you.
Nice. I guess I have to talk about so I'm not a rehabber. He knows this was a loaded question. I like that. I like your style, Matt. Recently, over the last couple weeks, I had a box turtle that was sick, and I tube fed for the first time. So preparing kind of a liquidy mash so that you could hydrate and feed at the same time, and really learn the importance with box turtles of making sure that they're getting nutrition when they're sick. This is an animal that, in my I'll admit it, in my past probably would have died, but the combination of now working in the veterinary field and having access to veterinary care, having great friends like Matt who I can lean on to kind of kick ideas back and forth and also learn from, and then just to be able to do something that I never would have done in the past, I think is really cool, because I'm no rehabber. I acquire my own. I'm more of a keeper. I almost said collector, but that word has definite negative connotations. But I'm more of a keeper and not a rehabber. I don't take in animals that were struck by cars, things like that. There are people, amazing, dedicated, knowledgeable people who can do that, and I try to keep up on that sort of stuff. And I had a general idea of tube feeding, but when you actually go to do it for the first time, it's different than anything you've done in the past. It's like next level stuff. So that was a really good recent victory for me. That was really cool. That the turtle did a 180. This thing was like on death's doorstep. I'm telling you, it weighed like nothing, couldn't open its eyes, its skin was falling off, and now it's kicking butt.
Where did you acquire it from? Just
from a friend. It was
Was that
a gift from a friend?
I'm assuming that was that Eastern box turtle you had posted about.
No, the Eastern box turtle I posted about those are native here. So I don't keep anything native, even stuff that's legal to keep that's native. I don't keep any of it. So just because Connecticut's got like a don't take anything, we outlaw everything that's native type deal. So I just don't even mess around with it. And I'm not a rehabber, so I don't have a permit to rehab or anything like that. So I just don't even mess with it. But I did treat an Eastern box turtle that was struck by a car at my animal hospital a few weeks ago.
Okay.
That was cool. That was easier though. That was an easy rehab. It was I just kind of cleaned him up and let him go because he was in great shape. He just got scraped up.
Ed, it's all on you, man.
Yeah, so I kind of got a loaded question too, because I just want to almost open up this whole entire door, because this is, you're the first, from everyone in the previous episodes that we've had to really expand upon your knowledge and background, especially in the vet field, because I feel like so many people it's almost a toss up between vet field and zookeeper, and it's like, which one do I want to do? The less sociable, or the one that you think is less sociable but really is, or more in depth, So and hands on or actually in depth, because I'm still in that phase where I want to go through more of the vet, just because not like the extreme, but just to get. It's almost like the impact thing. It goes back to impact. Like I want to care for my animals, but I also don't want to just toss them here, take care of my animal either. I would like to know more in depth on like what goes into it also. So between your background, how you got started, in the vet field, and kind of just open up the door and let you kind of expand upon that, because, speaking to a lot of people, that it might be an avenue that people want to even get into even. So,
yeah. I think I'm really fortunate to be where I am. Not to say it's, like I made it, but I mean, from where I came from.
I know they were drooling all of you. So, I mean, just come on. Put yourself out there.
From where I came from, I'm very pleased, and kind of where the journey was. I mean, I ended up getting out of college and just wanting a job, and I worked a bunch, and I thought I was going to be a cop, and then that didn't work out. And I never got a police job, and then decided to change gears because I had got a job while I was trying to build my resume to eventually become a cop, and got a job in social work and loved it, and then got promoted and promoted and promoted and promoted. And it went so well. And I'm like, wow, maybe I found my calling. And I did that for about 10 years, and I did really, really well at it and really enjoyed it, because I'm a people person, and I learn pretty quickly. So I kind of learned the lingo, so to speak, the way to, appropriately have those conversations. And, from dealing with past family members, I kind of had this innate ability to not get upset when somebody let me down or didn't show up for my birthday party or whatever. So a lot of people, good social workers, would struggle with people not showing up, things like that. And just my outgoing nature and personality, I think, really helped a lot. But I got burnt out. It's tough work. It's underappreciated work. So I thought, well, and I lost my job in 2017, and I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity to do something different. And then I was at the airport. I was working a couple side jobs to make and meet under the table. Don't tell the state of Connecticut. Just for a couple months while I was trying to find something permanent. And I was at the airport picking up some animals, because I'm an idiot, and animal stuff's always happening. I was with a friend, and Ralph Till, the Egyptian tortoise guru himself, texted me and said, "Congratulations." I'm like, "For what?" He said, "You won the Chelonia Personality of the Year." I'm like, "Screw you. Don't mess with me like that. That's not even nice." And I was shocked. And it's a silly thing. Everyone has bad things to say about that award. But it was really nice, and it made my day. And I really appreciated it before that, as a social worker, as a person who came from a relatively crappy place. I can remember on Tuesday mornings waiting for the bread man to come and give expired bread out in the projects that I lived in. And it was the best thing ever, running out during the summer to get a free loaf of bread, stale loaf of bread, and maybe a box. If you got a box of chocolate donuts, you were king of the world.
So make a wish sandwich, which you have to go on it. Yeah,
exactly. Man. I eat mayonnaise sandwiches all the time. 2 pieces of stale bread and mayonnaise. So when that happened, and I should say, what I was trying to say is, I love the idea of building people up, because it doesn't happen enough. Everybody in this hobby, and I say reptiles in general, wants to bring other people down. These awards are stupid. It's fixed. It's rigged. It's this, it's that. I always loved it. And I was kind of vocal about that when it came up. Maybe that's why I got editor's choice. I don't know. But either way, it meant a lot to me. And at that point I said, wow, maybe I could find something with animals. If you look at my resume now, because of the Turtle Room, I helped build a nonprofit to save, endangered animals.
So how did that start anyway? How did the connection
to
the founder, and how you guys started, and you just were
Turtle Forum? We were friends. We bonded over turtles. And then, we were talking about, hey, you're an educator. I'm a social worker. We're good with people. We're college educated. Like there's gotta be more. I can't just live my life being upset that I didn't major in biology. Like that can't be my life. That can't be. I can't live my life being upset I didn't become a police officer. I can't live my life being upset I wasn't a zookeeper. Like that can't be my story.
Yeah.
And
sounds like my current dilemma.
Yeah, and it's horrible. You don't want to live like that. Like you are really accomplished, and what you can accomplish in a decade is crazy. And I think the Turtle Room's a good example. We're 9 years into that, and I can't believe we have a program, protecting, conserving hingeback tortoises in Africa. We, like the amount of things that we built it's crazy. And I have barely anything to do with it. I'm just more of like one of the faces of it because like the educational component. But, so, you put that on a resume and I thought at that time, hey, maybe this is my opportunity to switch gears, and maybe I have to take a pay cut, but if it means I'll be happy in working with animals, great. And I found a job with VCA animal hospitals, and my job was to be like the face of a large animal hospital, like 24-hour animal hospital. And, I went into the interview and they're like, can you run social media? And I'm like, yeah, my YouTube channel has 20,000 subscribers and I talk about turtles and in grainy, crappy videos. And they're like, what? And, yeah, my Facebook has, 20,000 followers. And okay, how do you deal with difficult people? I'm like, well, I deal with the most difficult people society has to offer on a daily basis. Like I've been a social worker for 10 years. So they were like drooling over me, and I was actually supposed to start another social work job the following Monday. And I told them that when they called me for a second interview, and I'm like, listen, I didn't want to say anything because I was really excited and I wasn't sure where this would go, but I have, I'm starting another job. And she's like, okay, can you wait just a minute? I'm going to make a phone call and I'll call you right back. And she called her boss and like got the green light to just offer me a job making more than I was going to get at the other job. So I ended up making more than I was making, at my previous job where I had been promoted a bunch of times and thought, how the heck am I ever going to have that again? So I ended up making more money to switch to the animal field, which has just been incredible. And, both fields are traditionally very underpaid, underappreciated. You have really talented people working in jobs where they feel like they're not getting recognized and getting, the value out of their work, which is really unfortunate. But I feel fortunate because I try to be a support to them. One of the things I get to do for VCA is travel around the Northeast and train new hires on the VCA way and let them know, like, we have 1,000 hospitals. So it's not perfect everywhere, but that's not what VCA wants. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, just know that that's not what VCA wants. And we want to hear from you and we want to do everything we can to try to make it better. And some hospitals really are a great place to work. So, so to answer your question though, about, zookeeper versus veterinary field, I mean, both are really rewarding. The problem in zookeeping is you're going to work for 5 years as a volunteer or 10 years, and you're going to get passed over for promotions, and you're going to have to move around the country, and you're not going to make much money. But you get to be the zookeeper, which is pretty damn cool. Right. Now in the veterinary field, you're going to be underpaid, and you're going to have to learn some things and build this big array of knowledge, and to then be unappreciated by the people who come to get their animals help, especially if you specialize in exotics. That's the suicide rate is huge in the veterinary field, both technicians and doctors alike. And, a huge part of that is it beats you down and really has you question your self-worth when people are questioning the price, the value of the service that you provide. Like, these people are doctors, these technicians are nurses, they're super knowledgeable. Like imagine being a nurse when you went in to work every day and your patients tried to bite your face off. Like, maybe that happens in psych nursing, but not as often as it happens in veterinary medicine. And they're getting paid crap to get crapped on literally all day. And they do it because they have a love. So, I think it can be extremely rewarding, but I also caution young people. I mean, a lot of times if a young person comes to me and says, I want to be involved in animals, what can I do? I would give them options. I love giving other people options. I don't like telling people anything, making decisions for them or whatever. Here are your options. You can go zoologist, go veterinary science, or just be successful and then do animals on the side, because those are the people that are most happy. A lot of the times, I think. Like, be Ty Park. Be successful and then do whatever the hell you want animal related on the side, and then build it into something. That's a good thing.
And this isn't a whole separate topic, but who is the founder of Turtle Room?
Steve Enders. Steve Enders is my partner. He's the founder because he knows how to make a website. So at the beginning, this is funny. I'll tell you this story. So at the beginning, it was kind of like, so there was a thing called the Turtle Station. Have you guys heard of the Turtle Station?
I've. All right. Do you know Brett from Terrapin Station?
No.
Okay. So
sorry, Brett. I'm sorry, Brett. I don't know you yet, but reach out.
He had briefly told me about this Turtle Station, which was part of their motivation for creating Terrapin Station.
Well, they were a huge part of our motivation for starting the Turtle Room, because it was basically just a hangout club for them, like a boys only, turtle club to hang out. And they had a little website, and then they had like a little forum that they were building off of that and stuff like that. And to us, it was the coolest thing in the world. And it was cool.
Were you the bouncer?
No, I wasn't in it. I wasn't cool enough to be in it. So, but part of that was because I was cool with Steve, who they didn't like. It's very cliquey and politicky. And I'm like, and I felt like it was high school all over again. Like, I don't want to not be friends with somebody because other people don't like them. That doesn't make sense. I give everyone a clean slate, and I'll work with anybody, including the Turtle Station guys, including Steve, including everybody. And then Steve and I started talking about doing something. But at that time, the biggest example we could see was them. And we kind of decided to make our own, but we want to do it differently. And that's some of our early conversations were about that. Like, well, we want to collaborate with everybody, and we want to, but really it was like a place, okay, we're going to have a website and we're going to sell animals there, maybe. But it's, really though, we're trying to do it conservation minded and blah, blah, blah. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. We just did it. And he made a website, and then whoever was going to be a part of it had to pay dues to be a part of it. And I was working with him through the whole thing. And he's like, dude, all you got to do, pay me $50 and then you're a part of the team. And I'm like, dude, I'm not paying you $50.
You want me
I'm not doing it.
$50 for something you don't know what we're doing?
I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it. I'm not investing on the ground level. No. But that went away, because then it was like, okay, well, you can do it. And he ended up basically like letting me join for free a couple months later, but I was involved from before it even existed. We were probably closest friends, especially at that time. And we're working through a ton of different stuff. And basically we wanted to find our niche. What was our niche? And we didn't know what it was yet, but we were kind of obsessed with figuring out, okay, what is our niche? What species do we want to work with? What do we want to do with those species? What talents do we have? Do we bring to the table? And how can we set something up that can work for us to in turn make the world a better place for turtles? Because that's what we really cared about.
You guys are very local to each other?
Not really. He's in Pennsylvania. I'm in Connecticut. We're like 4 hours away, roughly.
Okay. And I'm Ohio. So I'm right on PLI.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we would see each other like at Hamburg, or we would, go to each other's houses now and then. We still do, but.
So when did you see, like, from that lane, the whole expansion of, just having one overseer, but seeing it like, when I go on their website and stuff, I see like an umbrella of just an umbrella, and then it's like, all the way down to the Pondcast. Like, I mean, it's like, it's almost, you hit every little lane, and you have people that are good in that lane to add the value to do that. And it's like, dude, everyone complements each other, and everyone's in their lane, so there's no stepping on toes.
It's good that it looks like that from the outside, and it really is. It is really popular. It is really positive, but that, I think, it's cool that you say that, because as you say it, Ed, I think, that's probably what we're best at. And that's a testament to Steve, is just figuring out everyone knows where they are. This is what you're responsible for. this is what, this is who you report to, and this is how we break down all the things that we want to accomplish. And new things come up all the time, new exciting things. I'm an idea guy. I bring ideas to Steve, and a lot of times Steve's like, yeah, do it. And then it doesn't happen because I'm an idea guy and I don't follow through. So, but the other thing to think about is we are a 100% volunteer organization. So we've got like 20 staff. They're all volunteer. But if you look at someone like Andy Weber, right? Andy is a biologist, a real one. Like I wished I was in the past. He's, he needs to pay the bills. He works last I knew, I'm sure this is true. If he was here, he could tell you more about it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I kind of do. He worked with like water. He was like testing water and stuff like that.
That's what.
But yeah, there you go. Now, but his passion is turtles. So if you look at his resume, he does the work, with important, governments and things like that as a biologist. But then he is the director of field programs and biologist for the Turtle Room, an official nonprofit that helps save turtles. So when you think about what that does for his resume, and really all he has to do is just do what he would be doing anyway, which is like be a turtle nerd helping other turtle nerds.
Yeah.
And then, his resume says that. So eventually he will really be he'll take the next step. Like the same way that it helped me build my resume so that I was able to move into, that's great, Viviana. Thank you so much. Andy really is the best. Help me take the next step into veterinary medicine. So, the benefit of organizing your efforts, instead of just being the person who comments on social media, turtle stuff, how can you turn it into something else, or how can you join up with someone else and be a part of something that's bigger than yourself? And that's kind of what we wanted and what we've tried to build. Just the last 2 days, we interviewed 2 people who are interested in volunteer projects for us, and the caliber of people that reach out that want to be involved in something is just incredible. And it doesn't take much. If you put in an hour or 2 a week, you can really do a lot. So things that we created, like the World Turtle News, when they came up with that idea, I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. And they really come up with World Turtle News several times a week to send out that's fresh, that they've never sent out before, fresh stories. They were doing like 5 a week at one point. We're slacking a little bit now and looking to bolster that team. But it's amazing what people can do.
That's, and I think that's where you said, you can get burned out so easily trying to be the superhero yourself.
Yeah.
And the reality is, we're here put on this earth to build relationships and to connect and unity. And, like me and Cody, like when you reach out to me, I'm like, dude, I'm more of a low key, like Eve. That's why you even were hesitant to even ask me from the beginning. You said, because I was like low key, I did my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the wildlife field. I hit aquatic. I still doing the side, but I'm like, man, I'm not blasting out there, always posting, especially, my animals, what I do. Right. It's like, then he reached out and, I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I just finally stepped out, published myself, my book. And I was like, you know what? This is just another lane and avenue to be able to, that's like Ryan McVeigh said it yourself. What good is all this knowledge and everything you've learned and developed? And
right.
If you're not just getting it out there, and
right.
You don't have to act like you're anyone else other than who you are yourself.
Can I tell you what was the coolest thing today? I had a kid reach out to me from UConn, University of Connecticut, who wanted to do. He was doing a project and wanted to interview me because he came to one of my turtle talks a couple years ago. So I just did a turtle talk at a nature center. Probably had like 10 people come, which, when I go to do a talk and there's 10 people, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe 10 people showed up to hear me talk about turtles. This is crazy. Now, obviously I've done better than that, but still it's exciting to me. Somebody actually took time out of their day in this, immediate information society to come and listen to me lecture about turtles for an hour and a half. That's crazy. But reached out to me because, the conversation a couple of years ago, or the one-sided conversation where I just was talking at a room mostly, spoke to him enough that he wanted more, which I thought was just the coolest thing, that at that time in college with all this COVID stuff going on, and he's got to do a project that he thinks of me. And I I didn't remember him. It's not like we had a relationship or anything. And I think that's the really cool thing. So, how do you measure how successful you are? Like if you look at Peter Pritchard, who passed away recently, the turtles that he tortured as a youngster, as a 5-year-old Peter Pritchard, the same way that I tortured turtles as a 5-year-old. And torture is a very strong word, but how like it's worth it in a way, not to say that turtles' lives aren't important, but it wasn't for no reason, because he made it important. Like he made all that work so important over the years. And if you're looking at his body of work, how do you measure how much of an impact he had? Is it the books that he published that people like us who are already into that found? Or is it the talks that he did where he inspired people to become people like us from the beginning? Right. So, I don't know. I think about that sort of stuff all the time. So forgive me for just like making that public. Public
dude.
thought.
We had a whole episode that was all about influence, man, and how people can influence others.
Yeah.
As far as reptile keeping.
And that just goes straight, especially because I like both avenues, but like I just love the younger generation, like especially with my book. It shows like I like it's humbling because I just had literally earlier this week had a staff member, director of children's school reach out to me and was like, we would love to see because my book's already in their place and everything, we would love to see if you're available to do a book reading. And I was like, I mean, you just think, who am I, and I was like, you know what, and I was like, my next response was like, can I bring a couple turtles? Of course, bring as many as you want. I was
love
like,
the live turtles.
Oh my gosh, because dude, when I went to school, I passed a full ride, to go to a private liberal arts school and all this stuff to pay for college, and not only that, but go not a big university route, but go more of a low key tech school, and because I was hands on right in the field immediately, and the biggest draw to that was being able to be hands-on with animals in the nature center and stuff like that. And I grew up and I always refer back to this because I loved animals my whole life. I was born and raised in the country, this and that, but it wasn't until second grade that I realized I almost fall back. I almost have an epiphany every time I do stuff like this to my dad. He wasn't like in wildlife, but he hunt, fish, all the basics, but he had the mounts and fish and deer mounts. Well, he got asked to come to our second grade class and bring the animals and stuffed animals and do a little talk. And seeing my dad, for the classroom and just seeing it, all the children's eyes from outside looking in, it was not only just a proud moment, but like an impactful moment. And now seeing that I'm able to do that with live animals, and you can only learn. There's stuff you can't learn from a book.
Right.
You can't.
Especially early on when you're trying to hook somebody in.
Oh my gosh. You can read all you want. It'll go, but let them hold or just even see a tortoise or whatever. I mean, come on, man. Like, life changed. Mic drop.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a reason why you remember that. And that's what we're trying to provide for the kids, which is just so cool. When my daughters remember something, I tell them it's such an amazing experience. Like my 3-year-old was teaching my 5-year-old because my 3-year-old's more involved in what I'm doing. And she said, no, yeah. She calls her older sister Cambria. She calls her Yaya. She'll say, no, Yaya. The boys are the little ones. Talking about the Reeves turtles. She loves the Reeves turtles and has to pick them up. No, Yaya. The boys are the little ones. See?
Learn it right there.
Yeah. But who would ever think that, like, look at how big my daddy is. Why would the boys be the little ones? That doesn't make any sense.
But, I mean, when he's out in the field playing with the other kids and stuff like that, I mean, boom.
Right. It's a very proud moment as a nerd dad, as a nerd girl dad. I'm a nerd. They're girls. Yeah.
My daughter had a birthday party middle June, and we had a couple of her friends come over, and they were all about her age. And inevitably, the kids went to the backyard. They saw my turtle setups, and it was funny because I started to try to give like a small tour And then my daughter completely took over, and like the stuff she was spewing out, like I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize she actually listened to me when she's feeding my turtles for me or anything.
Right. Isn't that the best? That's when it shows up. Yeah.
No, you're right, man. You never know what they're listening to.
Right.
Yeah, seriously.
I'd also say it's interesting. I think I might have mentioned it to you before we talked, but I had a class pet for my classroom. I teach 4th grade, and it was a Florida box turtle. And my students actually got to pick. They could either pick one of my Florida box turtles, or they could pick a North American spotted turtle. I would have picked the spotted turtle. But they picked the box turtle, and I was surprised. At the end of the year, even with Corona and everything, I had at least 4 parents reach out to me asking where they could buy a turtle from, because their kids were 100% obsessed with turtles now. And I was like, hey, that's 4 more people that, might be future wildlife biologists, might be pet store owners, or might just be teachers that keep turtles,
The most beautiful thing about that is that you become a resource instead of just a pet store, and then they don't do any of the navigation along themselves, and then all the rehoming and all that kind of. Becoming a resource is invaluable, man.
I think even talking about what those kids could grow up to be, I think if they grow up to be, unlike Blake Shelton or other people who purposely swerve in the road to hit a turtle when they see it crossing, I think if you can make them not do that, then you that's it. So, and I think that's an easier thing to try to do. Like, let's just educate people to care about living things. So I don't care. I was talking to somebody about their father the other day, how he was into gardening, and how the friend of mine is into turtles and was at a young age, and his dad always encouraged that and supported it. But his dad was like a gardener, but the one thing that he got from his dad was that he loved the living world. So he didn't want to see the plants die. He didn't want to see the slugs die. He didn't want to see the snails die, the worms. All of those are part of a healthy environment. So nothing needs to die. You want the bees to live, even though they could sting you. Like that's the next level thinking that we need to try to instill in the next generation, because it's not about us. Our species is fine. Well, probably so far anyway. I don't know how true like Terminator 2 Judgment Day is in terms of future here, but
Amazon's got pretty advanced, man. Speakers,
I'm telling you, right?
Lights turn on when you talk to them. I don't know, man.
Right. So I mean, for now anyway, for the next century or so, our species is just fine. It's the other species around us that are all struggling almost, besides subsidized predators like rats and raccoons. Pretty much everything's doing really well. I mean, really poorly. Thanks to us.
I have a question for you. It's swerving in a different direction, but it's one I've been wanting.
Let's swerve.
What is your favorite species that you've actually owned?
That's really tough, man. I'm probably best known for Spangleri, the Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle.
Okay.
And perhaps Geoemyda japonica, the Ryukyu black-breasted leaf turtle. Those are the 2 species that I wrote my book about.
Okay.
Really love them, and they're like nothing else. I think Spangleri are probably what I've had the most fun with, because I've bred them a lot and built a group over the years. So that's been a lot of fun. And then I get to support other people a lot. I think people know that I wrote the book, so they reach out and say, hey man, I just got this pair, help me out. I just got eggs. I just hatched eggs. What should I do? All that type of stuff, which can be really rewarding. But spider tortoises really mean a lot to me. That's a group that I've had for 9 years. They're just starting to show some breeding behavior now this year. And then just, I think the Cora genus as a whole, all those Asian box turtles, I just love them. I love the similarities from one taxa to another, but also the differences between the taxa as well, which I just think, I don't know, it's super rewarding just to sit there and
taxa of the Asian box turtles do you actually own?
That's risque information right there. I've never given that information away before.
Oh, man.
I think 10.
10?
Yeah. If you're counting species and subspecies.
Yeah. That's pretty. And you keep them all separate?
Oh yeah. Everything's separate. I have separate groups of the same species if the groups are larger. Like I have Chinese box turtles in 4 spots because right now here I have 27 Chinese box turtles. So they have different spots based on different localities. I have 2 different subspecies and then a different locality and then some younger ones. So, all different groups.
So,
all right.
Question. I was going to ask, what was your main resource as far as knowledge, when it comes to all these different, species and stuff like that? What was your resource in gaining more knowledge and information about them? Was it other people or mentors or?
All the above. So when I get into a species, I am like incessant. I don't stop. I keep going. And that's how I wrote my book. It's really easy to write a book about a species like Spangleri or Japonica because there's only so much published on them. So when you get to the point where you've read everything published on them 5 times each, then, you put that information into a digestible format, add your own observation, and you have a book. So I'll look up everything. So if there's a Turtle Times forum post from 2004 talking about the species that I'm into, I've read it several times and even recently because I'll just Google search and Google search and Google search. And then I'll reach out to my friends who work or go to universities and, raid them for JSTOR access to try to get whatever scholarly journals I can. And I go to bed at night often, or at least I used to a lot more before my kids were kind of in that age where they just come into the bed and kick me in my forehead and in my unmentionables while I'm trying to normally spend that quality time with my reading. I used to do that a lot, and that added a lot. But I think it's the old forum days, learning from people like Chris Hagen, who are just a wealth of knowledge and willing to share, which is just crazy. And then reading books, and then also just geeking out over things with friends who also have access to resources and think about things a different way than you do and can kind of challenge your ideas and stuff. So that you, at a certain point, I think more stuff is based on observation even early on. And then as you build your knowledge base, then you start to realize, okay, I really need to get some backing for what I'm saying and seeing. So then you start regurgitating and kind of building a mental and sometimes even physical library of stuff that you can have to back up what you're trying to claim and stuff like that.
And did you notice, because I know I sense this a lot since there is so many different people with so many different perspectives and opinions, and a lot of time, it is almost based on the case in that specific turtle even, so it's like you can have all this knowledge and, it might not work in that case,
Sure.
Even if it's that species. So take everything that you've learned, or even with most of the people, of insight, and take it with a grain of salt, but, maybe, apply it, but also don't ever not just, the best thing you can do is almost just look at your turtle for what it is also, and that specific one, and then kind of analyze yourself.
What we're doing is making educated guesses. That's all we do. Every single decision we make is an educated guess. We take our past knowledge, we take input when we think we need or can use it from others. And even if you're going to the veterinarian, I could tell you, because I see this all day, it's educated guesses. Now, a veterinarian, let me tell you, makes better educated guesses generally than we do, because they're more educated. But still, it's an educated guess. It's throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And, a lot of times you'll see a veterinarian say, we're going to try this first because, symptom signs point to this. And I don't totally feel it's this because of this. So this is what we're going to try. And then you go forward with that and maybe it doesn't work. And you say, okay, back to the drawing board now that we see that doesn't work, we're going to rule out this, this, and this, and we're going to try this. And that's basically what we do in our captive assurance colonies as well. The problem is when we lie to ourselves and we say, well, I've got, this is the enclosure I have, I'm going to try to make it work, or this is the filter I have, or I'm not going to do a filter, or I don't think, nothing you see says that UVB is needed, so I'm not going to use UVB or whatever. And you try to justify And I think people do that with conservation anyway. And I think that's a good segue into something that's really important to me. And I hope you guys don't mind, just conservation versus education, right?
Yeah.
So we all have an opportunity to do something. And I know I touched on it earlier, but each one of us here, everyone watching, we have an opportunity to make the world a better place for turtles, but how do we do it? And the first thing that people always point to is conservation. They come to me and they say, Anthony, I want to keep black-breasted leaf turtles because I want to help them in the wild. Well, you're full of it, because Japan never let them out legally and they're never going to take them back. So you want those turtles because they're sexy, and you want to keep some sexy turtles in your turtle room so you can impress the girl you bring over the house. I don't know. But, call it what it is. And that's why when you ask like what goes into it, I'll admit right here that I want turtles that get me excited, that make me happy, that I'm interested in. And that's important to me. I'm not just trying to do the right thing. I'm also trying to, I work my ass off for my turtles. I wake up early in the morning before I go to work, like a farmer, before the sun's up, and take care of them, go to work, then come home, quickly eat dinner, and then run outside to take care of the animals again. It's a lot of work. And,
I wish I could just keep replaying that to my wife.
Yeah. But so I have to do what's interesting to me too. And that's just a part of self-care, I think, and realizing that, so like we've decided to work with turtles. So we owe them something, because we as humans have really made the world a bad place for them. It's not like keeping, I don't know, bearded dragons. Like when you keep a bearded dragon, you owe it to that bearded dragon to take care of it, because it's a living thing. It's a sentient being, and you need to care for it because it deserves to be cared for. When you have a turtle, it's twofold, because it's it's everything the bearded dragon is, but now it's also endangered or declining or what have you because of what we've done. Yeah. So the urgency and what we owe them, our debt to them, makes it so that we need to really bring our A game and do what's right for them.
And there's so much less talk about that. There's so much more politics and going on in the world. But yet, one mention of U.S. ARC, what is that? I ain't never heard of that before. Well, if you're not going to have your animal very soon, because it's like they protect your rights.
Yeah.
Everything, people are so based upon rights. There is no right. It's privilege.
Yeah.
You're very privileged. We are very privileged to be in the scenario where we're at. So, I mean, if you just want to turtle just because, that's great. But there has to be way more of an influx of people that need to put that best foot forward to. And it doesn't have to look like some biologist or this or that, but just voicing. Look, this is what all we're doing, right, Cody? We're voicing and giving a platform for other voices.
Yeah,
that's invaluable for people that can go back and listen to all you guys.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing too. When you have these archived, if you think about it, like I can go if I'm like I've had several conversations with Tom Crutchfield, who I think is just incredible to talk to and listen to.
I think we're going to be having to do a live one because he ain't got no service down there.
Right. No, and you could see. I mean, the quality of that call was not good, but it happened. And if I want to look back on that and think about my time or my conversation, it's there. Like, how cool is that? Who else gets to do that? I have a 1 hour and a half conversation with an icon, an infamous and very important part of reptile history.
All right, Cody, that's confirmation. I know. So,
you got to take the drive, man.
It's only like an hour and 40, maybe 2 hours, about two and a half, maybe. But still, I mean, I honestly, with Crutchfield, like I grew up, like when I was 5 years old, and my dad's buddy, he was the one who got me more. That's why I'm more conservation this side and then hobbyist this side, because my dad's buddy growing up when I was 5 years old, going to his house, he has caimans and alligators in his basement. You go upstairs, he's got spotless, terrapins and all this stuff going on. And I'm like just mesmerized, and like you can just an appreciation and a relationship he built with them that it's not about just locking them in and feeding them. Like he can sit down in between both them with an American alligator and a caiman and just on their head.
Right.
Because he's established and built that kind of stuff. And it was just like, But Crutchfield was like the main guy that they looked up. Like they
right. But I think that's a good time to say too. So as you know, one show host to others here, I got some pushback about certain guests. Tom Crutchfield, people didn't appreciate us having Tom Crutchfield on. How can you give him a platform? I don't agree with what he's done. Okay. Randy Betts from Tort Stork. How can you have him on your show? I don't agree with what he's doing. He's horrible. What he's doing is atrocious. And I said, well, I want to give him the platform so he can speak his story and speak his truth. And then you give you a better opportunity to see what's really happening. And if you continue to feel that way, then that's your opinion and that's great. But, I think education isn't just showing people what's PC and what's 100% appropriate at all times. It's showing people what the real story is and letting them decide.
And so many people are afraid of that.
Dude, we just watched an entire Netflix series on a guy that sold tigers across state lines.
Yeah. I mean, that was interesting. But
they got too big. But I'm just saying, like, I mean,
that was made by a turtle person, so we had to watch, didn't we?
Right. But in the same thing, I'm pretty sure there's thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are like, oh my God, that's terrible. Why would they give him a Netflix show? But like, people need to know the truth, like.
Agreed. And I'm really grateful too. And I can get on my soapbox now. I'm really grateful that was made. I think it's a really good reminder for all of us that we all have a little Joe Exotic in us, some more than others. But to really think about that, like when he started out, he would have come on this show and sounded a lot like us.
Right.
And then he continued to go down the wrong path and let his ego get out of control to the point where it became more about him than the animals.
Right.
And even if you are about you, because you understand people who are good at this, they sell themselves on social media and things like that. Chris Leone is really good at this, right? And he sells himself and he's not afraid to, once in a while he'll show the negative stuff, but for the most part, it's really positive, really upbeat. He shares what gets clicks and likes and shares and all of that. And he gets it. And it's an important part of his business.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of him and what he puts out. But there's a little bit of Joe Exotic in him and there's a little bit of Joe Exotic in me and every one of us. And I think it's important to see like the early things that he did and where he ended up, because it could happen to any one of us. Maybe not on that level, but negative stuff happens when you.
I gotta admit, when I found out that he was selling tigers for $3,000, I'm like, dang, maybe I should have bought a tiger instead of turtles.
Considering how easy it is to breed tigers compared to turtles, exactly. Right. Like working my butt off to try to get a 3-stripe mud turtle hatchling, and tigers just do it with
3-stripe mud turtle.
You got to stop
another egg that she just laid.
Oh, I mean, I've got eggs and I'll hatch them, but still the point is like, I've got an entire group of them that I try to keep. Thank you, Charlie. You're right, man. Charlie is the best person alive.
I feel like everyone almost is. I love this. You get their own, everyone gets their own touch of Anthony.
Right? You try. Yeah, I try to. Yeah, I try. It's, I'm a social butterfly. I was in high school. I was in college. I am in work. I want to meet people and share. I want to learn from people.
Yeah.
I want to be involved. I have really big fear of missing out. So I feel like if something cool is happening, I want to be involved. And that's like a internal struggle that I have that my wife would tell you all about. That really pisses her off.
You mentioned your wife. And so now I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a question that I got asked earlier that I saved. Hold on 1 second.
Hello.
Give me 1 second.
Can I keep talking?
Yeah, go ahead and keep talking. I got to open my door. My sister-in-law is here.
Oh my gosh. Hey sis. You had a question for us. And then that was it.
So dude, I mean, one thing that kind of intrigued me is that, you went from not having a job to going to VCA in 3 years. Now you're at where you're at. You always had, other than the social aspect, you also had that caliber of knowledge and insight to be able to be confident to go in that kind of lane where you're at also.
It's a challenge. I don't have the veterinary knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to learn, and it's a challenge to have Yeah, there probably is. I'm not going to mention, but I see. I wouldn't be like Joe Exotic and actually say this person is the bane of my existence. Maybe offline, but yeah, not in front of everyone. But it's a daily challenge. So I run a hospital where I am the boss, and I have less veterinary knowledge than everyone in the building, but I'm their boss. And that's a really big challenge. I have good animal knowledge. They know and they respect what I do with the turtles, which is cool because more than other fields, they actually,
Is it an exotic vet?
No. It's my goal to work in exotic vet, but it's good because I need to learn veterinary medicine, and there's no better way than to learn, small animal practice first.
Yeah.
It's great. And I don't dislike dogs and cats. They don't get me excited the way that turtles do, obviously, not even close. So,
are you ready for my question?
Yeah. I've been ready.
Right. I'm sorry. My wife ended up getting the door for me. All right. How does your wife take in the fact that it sounds like you have hundreds of turtles? Yeah.
It's been a struggle. She used to tell me when I had like 18 turtles, that was a lot. And right now I have like 182. So like literally 10 times more.
And how supportive for this transition from 18 to 182?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, turtles used to bring us together a lot because we would do things together. We would go to a nature center together. We would go out herping together and put on our cute little safari hats and cargo shorts and go stomping around and riding around in my dinghy. It was terrific. And then, as I continued to get more involved in things, it became a strain on our relationship because it turned me away. It brought me away from her. Now I'm on the phone all day with my buddies in Florida, and I'm emailing my friends in Germany and Asia and all sorts of other stuff. People who want to talk about, the species that I'm interested in. And you fall into that where all of a sudden you're just on social media or email or whatever, communicating all the time. Yeah. And we had to talk about it a lot. And the whole conversation, well, he could be into, drinking alcohol and strippers and coming home with glitter and lipstick on his collar. So it could be worse. Yeah. But, it used to be something that brought us together, and it became something that pushed us apart. And in the last few years, we've worked to kind of have her involved. She when the Turtle Room gets a donation, she writes a handwritten note to thank people, which is really cool. She and I we've recorded a couple podcasts. We haven't put them out yet, but a podcast, like a his and her podcast, which has been really fun. She's written several blogs, like Turtle Wife blogs, to talk about just like the craziness of my husband and how that goes.
Yeah, I need a link to that.
That might actually be worthy of like a group of turtle wives.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a lot. Don't bite my idea yet, because I think we got good stuff going. I'm totally kidding, but I think imitation is the biggest form of flattery. And I also, like I said at the beginning, I think that being able to have more is like more the merrier. And it really is. It really is. If there were 15 turtle podcasts, I would try to tune into all of them and try to help out any of them however I could, because I think, not to say that you guys aren't special, but I think, being able to work together is what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And wifey's been pretty cool about it. So
yeah. No, that's good, man. That's good stuff, especially because, life and family balance is critical. You got your career and, or job, and then you come home to your hobby, and all you want to do is, and this is my slice of heaven that I can escape.
Right.
And then
this is what I work for.
And then next thing you know, that becomes, not say daunting, but it becomes almost like, well, this is just kind of what I love. And next thing you know, someone doesn't understand the way you do. So, but you got to respect that also. So there's just, there's a lot of balance, and I think you've seen so many people that I know coming in the community, especially in the hobbyist avenue, that I've seen people like, you're just going to get this, and then, you're going to, get rid of it here in a year and you're done with it, because I've seen so many people, they, get in all this stuff, and the next thing you know, they're getting right back out of it, So, I mean, that just tells me that were they really passionate about it, or was there just so much imbalance of just communication, of understanding and appreciation? It was just trying to communicate like what you're talking about, where don't be afraid to either. there's a reason that you're doing it in the first place. And if it's for the right reason, the right motive, then that's going to speak for itself.
Sure. Absolutely. So. Absolutely.
We are slowly approaching, we're over our hour, obviously.
Yeah, that was never going to happen.
I knew it, but I think we should take this time for you to be able to talk more about the Turtle Room, how people can support, ways that people can get involved, your social media platforms. I mean, all of those things in terms of that.
Sure. Yeah. I think in terms of getting involved, we're always open for folks with skills, real skills and interest in doing things. We've had some people, start as, contributors to World Turtle News, then go on to write some really awesome blogs. And, I'm thinking of one writer in particular we had who started with World Turtle News. And then, she ended up writing for Reptiles magazine and, presenting at TTPG conference and Turtle Night at Daytona and things like that. And, being able to see people grow up, so if you're interested, I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily like the easiest thing to get involved in, but if you're persistent and you really want to do something, then it will happen. We have a volunteer application on our website. So you can go to theturtleroom.org. We recently changed to .org with the nonprofit status. And you can apply there to become a volunteer, do some writing.
You don't have to be in Connecticut, correct?
You don't. We're international. We've got people in the UK. We've got folks all over the country who people just that have interesting knowledge. We have someone who has this doctorate in computer programming who helped create the interactive maps resource that we have on our site. People don't even know that exists. If you go in there, you can hover over any country in the world or any state in the US and see all the turtles that are native there. It's the coolest thing ever. Talk about learning, turtles will help you learn geography. That was a huge thing for me. Like I could see where Burma is in relation to Laos. Like I could see.
You've just taken the rest of my night tonight.
Right. But that's a resource. It's been there since like 2014. People don't even know. Wow. We have the digital Chelonia log that's being used. It's better than the systems that zoos use to track their animals that we built, that you can go in there and you can list up to 25 of your own animals, track their weight, track their breeding, track their health, their feedings, everything, and actually have all of that there for free. So you don't have to be writing it on pieces of paper anymore. You can actually be putting it into a database the same way a zookeeper does. So we can give people that experience. And if you have more animals like me, you can pay for like a premium membership and list everything you have in there and keep track of everything. It's really, really cool stuff that people don't even know exists. So check us out. That stuff is there on theturtleroom.org. It's also a great place, if you want to learn about the Endangered Species Act or CITES and what's the difference between those. We have kind of pinned resources there in our educational resources place, that the spot that's a great way to just get like digestible information for a turtle person that just makes sense of all of that, including all the animals that are listed. So just, lots of stuff. So if you're interested, check it out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and just trying to spread the word. If you're interested in donating, awesome. You can do that through several different platforms, including just the website. There's a donate portion there as well.
When's the next Pondcast?
First Monday in August, which is the 3rd, maybe.
Okay.
The 3rd, yeah, something like that. I wish I could tell you more. We were going to do a show a couple weeks ago, or actually earlier this week. So the first one is 2 weeks from this past Monday, so it's a little, like a week and a half from now. We were going to do one, but we didn't put any. We didn't make a blast about it, like send anything out. So we ended up just saying, you know what? It was actually on my anniversary. So I had to tell the boys, like, listen, guys, I know I said I would probably do another one, but I maybe didn't remember that it was my anniversary. And I want my wife to continue to like the turtle things that I do. So that's important. Don't do things like that. Like forget your anniversary and schedule a podcast.
I coach high school softball, and we had a game on my anniversary 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And out of every game we decided to have that season, this one went into overtime.
Exactly. Of course.
It lasted like 4 hours. I got home at like midnight. Yeah. My wife was like, the anniversary is over. And our marriage is about to as well. And I was like, hopefully she's not listening, but
this is important though. These are the things that we have to, experience and learn from. Sometimes you learn the hard way. And you have to prove that you've learned from that experience. Yeah,
I think
sleeping with the turtles.
Typically, we end with guess that turtle. I will admit that I was not prepared and did not find a turtle to bring up for you. So I actually am curious, what is the project that you're most excited about?
That's a good question.
It's new, you're one of the few people, and this can be you or the Turtle Room as a collective is working with, something of that nature.
I'll tell you which project I'm most excited about. I'm starting to, and I kind of talked about this a little bit before we went on air with you, Cody. I'm starting to collaborate with an agricultural high school here in Connecticut who is interested in actually. Hi, honey. Can you guys hear her with my microphone?
Oh yeah, you're good, man.
Okay. Hold on, honey. Hold on. This is the final thought time.
I'm on break, man. Mine's with grandma till.
Dude, I threw mine in. I put her.
She's at the house watching her while we're doing this, man.
Say hi, honey. Hi. So, working with a agricultural high school to actually set them up with some animals so that they can have the kids work with them, and then they can start to use that database I was talking about to track everything that they're doing, so that they can actually get real life experience with, what it's like to care for these animals, track what's happening, and breed them as well. So I can, and it's relatively close to me, so I can be their consultant for everything. So I can say, okay, this is how you incubate the eggs. This is how you keep them. You need to do this. You need to do that. And then they have different groups within the high school that does. So they have like a woodworking group that could come in and build the enclosures.
Wow.
No, don't do that.
So like it's self-sufficient.
Yeah, they have a horticulture group that can grow the plants that can live in the enclosure, and they can research which exotic plants work best with the species from Southeast Asia that they'll have and stuff like that.
That's huge.
And they do aquaponics already and agricultural like farming things and like raise pigs and all sorts of animals already. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
Thank you so much, sweetie. You're so
that's awesome. It's back to education, man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm really excited about now. On top of just, I've got more eggs this year than I've ever had, and having some animals settle in that were displaced for a while. Chris held a lot of animals for me while I was moving, which was really difficult for the animals and me and him. So, just being able to settle in, that's what I'm really most excited about right now.
That's awesome, man.
That is awesome, man. We are at an hour and 22 minutes. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, man. I'm sure we'll have you back on the show because I actually know nothing about Vietnamese black leaf-breasted turtles. And hey, I'd love to hear more without having to read your book, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's an easy book. You probably read it in, 30 minutes. It's a speed read, but it's a good resource though if you're into them. Eventually, let me tell you something. I'll guarantee you, within a couple years, at least one of you will be asking me because you're trying to buy some. It's an acquired taste that every turtle person eventually comes around to. I just want you to know that. So it'll happen.
What is it about them?
They're small. We're talking about adults are 4 inches tops, usually smaller, some maybe a hair over 4 inches. They're so personable. They're like,
well, there you go. You already sold it.
Like a predatory bird with a turtle, like with a shell that's the shape of a leaf and the eyes of an owl. They're the coolest thing ever. But I think a lot of times for a lot of people, a lot of the Asian species kind of blend together in your mind because there's so many. So it's tough to tell like the keeled box turtle from the Spangler eye, from the Japonica, from the dentata leaf turtle, like, from the Spinosa.
That's definitely where I've been at.
Yeah. And I remember being there. I remember looking at them I remember saying like, oh, I'm not really big about, the Latin names, like the scientific names, but like now I am because it's easier. It's easier to distinguish because when you say leaf turtle, there's so many different leaf turtles, and I'm not going to say Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle every time I talk about them. So,
I've had that same issue with wood turtles. I've been interested in starting wood turtles, but there's like so many. You're like, I don't know which wood turtle I want. I just want a wood turtle.
Right. And there's so many species that are wood turtles, but also other types like common names. There's so many different common names. Like a spotted turtle is a starry night turtle in Asia. Like, there's watermelon turtles, and like there's so many different weird common names. And then there's things that have really similar common names that just, it doesn't make sense to use them all the time.
Makes sense, man.
It's easy to call an ornate diamondback terrapin a macro. It's just easier.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Or it's easier to call it Cody's turtle if you want to send it to me.
That's a good idea. So anyone, if you have a macro at home that you feel you're not satisfying, send it Cody's way.
I have space for just one more.
Only one more? That's it?
Florida, man. We got.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Florida rules. That's true. You have to forgive me. I'm a Connecticut guy.
All right, man.
I mentioned that already.
Anthony, we appreciate you for being on episode 10, the Big 10. We've made it.
This is big. I want to be episode 100. Can you keep that in mind? It'll be 2 years from now.
We might have to set up like a 10, 50, 100.
Dude, Cody's already got a lineup.
I like it. Yeah, just remember, because when you're building,
year already, dude.
Yep. When you're building the lineup, just make sure you got it in there.
Do you know what caused me to make the lineup though? I have to give this plug.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony was like, "Oh yeah, we're already booked out through November." At one point, when I was asking, I think it was when I was asking you to be on the podcast, and I was like, "Dang."
Yeah, but again, it's impressive when but when you think about it, we only have monthly shows. Booked out to November means I have 3 people. Like nothing.
Hey, it definitely inspired me, and I was like, I need to stop asking people last minute to be on this podcast.
That's the tough part is to do. Yeah, they need some leeway, especially if you want the big time guests because they're going to be busy.
Right.
We're trying to get some. We're trying to reach out to Jeff Corwin recently. Like it's like
that'd be sick, though,
getting
man.
no answer at all. Like just trying to do it, man. Whatever.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this: we are coming to the end. We are at the end. Yeah. Fun fact: this is the second to the last podcast that will be on a Friday.
Yeah.
Come August, we're switching to Tuesday.
I was gonna recommend that, by the way.
Yeah.
Especially as COVID ends, as the pandemic ends and quarantine and people are starting to get out again. Not that that's happening anytime in Florida. Sorry, Cody. Fridays, man. People are putting on their glittery club outfits and going hitting the town.
Family.
Yeah, or it's movie night at my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Ghostbusters too.
It was a good run. I mean, honestly, it was just to jump in and then you get to navigate the waters. And
I didn't think 5 people would watch. Honestly, I'm like, nobody's gonna watch me sit here and talk about turtles. But
yeah, yep. It's a very exciting and it's great. Like who would have ever thought? Like I said, when I do a talk and 10 people show up, I'm like, I'm giddy over it. You really want to come and listen to me talk about
people
turtles.
that I don't say care about animals, but they're actually coming on. I'm like, all right,
it's pretty cool.
Dude, you learn something, even if you get a little nugget, dude, that you take this. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. So, dude, it's an honor and a privilege, and definitely, the persona and just everything you do, it definitely helps, going forward because we got to keep that humble mindset also.
Sure.
No matter how much we learn, develop, grow, wherever we go, I think, I speak for both of us that your persona, your outlook and perspective and just humility that's what we need to always keep in mind and keep at heart and lock down and lock onto. So
don't forget where you came from, especially when that person is borderline abusing an animal and showing pictures of it on Facebook asking for advice. Don't beat that person down because that person is where you were. Maybe they lack a little bit of the sense that you had, especially now looking back. But just remember that we all started somewhere, and you can help that person, and you can be the change by not turning them away from your good advice. If you really have that good advice, then it is imperative that you do everything you can to really get through to that person, and you're not going to do it by making them feel like a jerk. You're going to do it by respecting them and giving them a chance to correct it.
Amen. Yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead and end this. We got to end on that. I don't think anything else can be said. Guys, this has been What the Shell podcast. Shell. And we're at episode 10, and this has been a wrap, guys. We appreciate everybody that supported, commented, and asked questions. We'll see you next week for our last episode on a Friday.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. Appreciate you, Anthony.
Guys. Deuces.